Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 71. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Wednesday Motivation and Inspiration, and we're continuing with the letter R. And the next word I'm using is regret. So I want to talk about living with no regrets. And before I get started, obviously a quote. No matter what you do in life, always put your heart into it. Live your life without regret. Now, the biggest thing that we all live with in our lives is regret. Now, my goal with this podcast today is to get you to not live with any regrets, or at least to not live with too many of them. I don't want you all to grow old and sit around thinking to yourself, what if I took that chance? Or what if I worked toward my passion? As Gary Vaynerchuk says, go spend time in a senior home and you'll hear so many older people sharing their regrets. Which is very true because, well, I'm in my later 30s and I regret not putting in the work into this writing journey early on and not creating this podcast. But granted, for me, it's not too late and I figured out my purpose in life, but I don't want it to happen to you. I want you all to be happy in what you're doing and to not live with regrets in your life. What happens to us is we live a life of comfort and we have to get out of that. We have to go out on a limb and do something that makes us uncomfortable. We spend most of our lives looking for the acceptance of others and feeling wanted and needed by others. We have our minds programmed from a young age that school is important and a college degree will make you successful in life. It doesn't apply to every field that you do. Well, unless you're a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, or working in information technology, just to name a few. The reality is, when you're blessed with a talent and a gift, most of it comes naturally to you, and it's something that you were born to do. So for me, I always tell people, if you're naturally good and gifted at something, you need to explore it, and you need to see how far you can go with it. If you're an artist and you can draw, well, then draw and do that. And I think in this world now and in this generation, a lot of us are so talented and so gifted in plenty of things. It's not just one specific thing. You can be a great coach, but also an artist. And you can, create and draw and also be a writer. I do plenty of different things. I, write books. I write poetry. I have this podcast that you're currently listening to. I've created, a few good pieces for my clothing line. So I have a few talents and gifts. My main one is writing. And I know that. So I know that I always have to stick with what I'm pretty much born to do. And, as you guys know, I'm an Aquarius. And I know so many Aquarians that are like creative. It's just crazy. Or they, pretty much run their own show with whatever they're doing. I know Aquarians who are artists, photographer. One has her own dental office. Another one, I have a cousin who's a Aquarius who makes clothes. I have a friend I grew up with who's an artist, and so I know quite a few Aquarians who are very talented and gifted in what they're doing. And I'm not saying like the other zodiac signs aren't creative, because trust me, I know plenty of other people who are very, very creative in other zodiacs. But just kind of running through my flow of like Aquarians that I know since, right now as this podcast is published, it's Aquarian season. And I just honestly want people to know that, life moves so fast and we don't stop to really sit and think and explore like what we're really good at. And sometimes we get caught up in we've got to survive, and we honestly forget to live. And when you survive the majority of your life, when you get older, you will have regrets and you will say, dag, I should have, took a chance on that business opportunity, or I should have invested into that, or I should have taken that chance and written that book, or I should have gone to that open mic. And you will always question what if you would have done certain things. You don't want to do that when you're older. You don't want to do that in the middle of your life either. I want you all to say, I'm passionate about something. I'm going to pursue it, and I'm going to be really great at it. And I'm going to hone my craft. I'm going to continue to get better. I'm going to learn from others, and I'm going to apply things to myself too. And I do know people who have regrets, and they haven't even lived most of their life yet, but they don't realize that they can turn their life around and go after what they're good at. And there are too many people I know that are also very complacent in where they are in their life. They don't have goals. They don't have aspirations. They're just living. They're existing more than anything. And they're working to get by. And they're living check to check. And life isn't constructed that way. Life is constructed to where people should be able to strive for what they want and what they're really good at. And not everyone's going to be able to really do what they really want to do in life. But what I will say is for those who have the opportunities, take full advantage of them. Go do what you want to do with yourself. And if you're young, especially like in your 20s, early 30s, I would say try different things and learn who you are. Because for me, I thought I was going to be working in sports my whole life. And that changed when I got into my 30s. And now here we are. I'm in my late 30s. And I'm on this amazing journey of just creating. And boy, do I wish I would have done it in my 20s. But like I've probably said in previous podcasts, I would not have had the mindset to create all of the things that I'm doing currently right now. And I can say 15 years ago, podcasts weren't as relevant as they are now. So I'm thankful that now I can have a podcast and a platform where I can talk about these things. And I know a lot of people who are starting to really look at how great they are, what their potential is, and they have a good chance at living their life to the fullest extent that they can, and that when they do hit their 70s and 80s, if they're still around, healthy and alive, that they're not going to have any regrets. And that's the one thing I don't want for you guys. And this is why I'm doing this podcast today. So whatever you're good at, start looking into it. Start exploring. Start researching. Start doing these things. People start businesses off of certain life experiences that they've been through, and before you know it, they're doing very well for themselves, and they're walking away from corporate America, and they're living their life with a sense of purpose. And I do talk about that I've talked about that in previous podcasts. Living your life with a sense of purpose. Why are you living your life the way you are? What motivates you? What drives you? And that's what I want you guys all to think about, and I want you all to explore. Now, at the end of the day, like I said, you don't want to get older and you start sitting and reflecting on everything and start saying to yourself, man, oh man, had I have done that in my 20s or 30s or 40s. So at least if you do go after what you want and it doesn't work out, you can say you at least went for it, and you don't have to wonder about the what ifs or what the outcomes could have been. And this is why I tell all of you guys, chances are you're probably good at probably 3 to 5 things in your life that you probably don't know yet. You have so much longer of a life to live than you think. So don't let the world affect you. Don't let the world get you down with the negativity and all of that. Go feel yourself out. Go be great. And never stop until you have done everything that you've wanted to do in your life. With that said, that's my podcast for today. I thank you guys for listening. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.